Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel Shout Out to Books, where we discuss anything, everything related to books, stories, fun, plot, and whatnot. So today we are going to discuss how to read. So prior to this, I have already talked about why to read, what are the benefits of reading, but it's also very important to know how to read, what are the tricks and tips to read so that you can get most out of a book. So first and very important reading trick is always be careful while choosing a book. So be very picky when you are choosing, especially if you are a beginner and you are choosing like your first or second read, then you should be very careful because by then you don't know your own taste, right? So you have to you have to explore many things, that's true, but just be sure that if you want to be a consistent reader, your first or second read should be one of your favorite kind. It should be very engaging. So make sure to go through reviews. If you are one of those people who read reviews prior to movie and also you hate spoilers, so in that case it's always better to go through reviews without spoilers. And there is very good place to go to is the Goodreads, where you will see there are some spoiler free reviews. You can read those and then you can decide if you want to read this book or not. So it's very important to choose your books or choose your reads wisely. So in order to choose your books or in order to review along with the Goodreads, there is other option you can explore. You can always go to YouTube, search for the spoiler free reviews. Most of my reviews are always going to be spoiler free, or you must have seen most of my reviews are spoiler free. So you can come here and you can look at those. So it's always a better option before you pick or before you buy a book. Always go through reviews. Second tip from my side, or second of my very good suggestion is going to be, don't be scared of leaving a book in between. I see that most people are like OCD, that they want to complete a certain book and they want to have it like a trophy that okay, I have completed it. But it's never about quantity. If you are not resonating with certain book, you have to keep it aside. Okay. And I have read somewhere that we keep on changing, so the way we change, our perspective of most of the things are going to change. So how you perceive a certain book in certain phase of your life or certain age of your life is going to be different than the other phase of your life. So it's always very subjective when it comes to reading. So if you have picked a book, or even if it is very famous and people are expecting it to you to read it and think that oh my god, it's so amazing book, still you, if it is not working for you, if it is not working for you, you have to leave it. You can leave it in between, later on you can try again. I'll give you an example. You must have seen my review, The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, and you must have seen how I was impressed with that book. But when first I picked that book, right, it wasn't at all working for me, and I don't know why, because that's up to my taste. Like I loved that book when later I read that, but at that point of my life I wasn't actually resonating with it. I was not in mood to read that. That's why it did not work for me. So I left it like in first 10 pages there itself, and later on when I picked it, I fell in love with the Evelyn Hugo. So basically I'm trying to say that you have to understand that some book may not work for you at all. You have to accept it, you have to leave it in between. Just don't get don't force yourself to read it and then later on fall into the reading slump. So it's like, it's better to leave it in between, find something interesting that interests you and read that. Then the third trick is going to be little technical. Like I generally follow that. I follow the notes. I keep the highlighter with me. I keep some colored pencils with me, and generally I keep those notes with me when I'm reading. So I can give you an example also. There are some sort of a sticky notes. There are some transparent notes as well that you can use. So you can use these kind of notes. Then there is this, so it's like I do like colorful things. So you can use highlighters like this. I can even show you how I highlight things and how I write the notes. If you are liking certain statement in that certain book, you can always keep a note of it. Generally, I'll find it in here. So this is one of my recent reads, and if I show you, this is how I have done it. I know people will hate me for highlighting things, but this is my book, I can do anything. Or if here you can write something like this, I have written effective communication is very important. Or as this is a non-fiction self-help, so in order to remember things I have to write notes, right? And you can always keep things interesting, keep things fun, because you don't have to feel this like an assignment like we used to do in schools, right? We are doing it for ourselves, we are doing it for fun. So make sure to have the notes highlighting, make it fun. You can always Google characters. Sometimes I find it very much difficult to imagine or picturize certain character. So in that case I generally Google that character. I try to find his or her images, and then I start reading again. Of course, while Googling, make sure you're not bouncing onto some spoiler. I have uh, you know I have faced that sort of problem. So make sure to go through those characters. I remember while reading Kafka on the Shore, there was this character in the book who was called Nakata. He was an old Japanese man. So just because he was old and Japanese man, I used to remember, or I used to picturize that guy in Japanese traditional clothes, maybe like this. Book, as per book, used to look, or he looks like this. So there is this huge difference. So if you are finding yourself not able to picturize certain character, Google them. It will be easier for you to picturize it, imagine it, and you will get indulged into the book a lot. And when you are remembering, or when you are picturizing those characters, right, your brain actually relates this activity, reading book, as an activity into the fun activity. Like it relates it as a fun activity. So next time when you are reading book, it won't feel like a task or that you have to do. You will feel like it, you will feel like picking up a book just for entertainment, and you will get indulged into it. It's one of the reason I generally tell beginners to read fiction, so that way it is more engaging. That does not mean that non-fiction is not engaging, but I have always find non-fiction to be more investing than fiction. You can finish fiction sooner, and it will put you onto that journey sooner. Another tip is embrace audiobooks. So I know whenever you are imagining books, whenever some person says books as a word, you always picturize it as a hardcover or as a paperback. But that's not the case. Audiobooks are books also. So make sure to embrace those, make sure to utilize those. There are so many amazing apps out there that you can use. There is this Storytel, there is Audible. I generally listen to audiobooks when I'm taking a walk outside. So it's really fun, and it is also advisable to utilize audiobooks for fiction as compared to non-fiction, because in case of non-fiction, as I said, it's quite investing. So you have to take notes. It's best practice to take notes and remember this stuff. While reading fiction, or you can always utilize the audiobooks. You can listen to them, and you can get involved into the story. Another advantage of audiobooks is it's going to give a break to your eyes. So if you are very much consistent, so your eyes are going to get strained. If your job is into that, where your eyes are, if you are sitting on a laptop or computer for a day, so that's where you might feel little tired if you are going to read hardcover or paperback, or even electronic format like Kindle. So that's when audiobooks are very much useful. They come handy in that case. Another tip is very essential: embrace technology. Okay, don't be like, okay, I like paperbacks and I like only hardcover, so I'll go through that only because they look pretty like this. But that does not mean that you cannot use Kindle is way better. Okay, you can highlight there is handy dictionary there. You just have to double click on that, and it will give you the meaning of that word. So it's that amazing. So I would always say that embrace technology. It even increases your speed. That has happened with me, that my reading speed has increased a lot. I'll make another video why reading, if reading speed actually matters or not. But still, because if you start reading fast, you're going to cover a lot, and along with that, comprehension is also necessary. But that's what, like, technology actually helps improve most of the things if you utilize those technologies properly. along with Kindle, there are some apps out there where you can make notes of whatever you have read. You can have a sort of schedule on that. You can have to-do list, you can have task list. So those things you have to embrace. There is this app called as Notion, which you can utilize, which is way amazing, way beyond, it's ahead of the time. I always say I like this a lot. There's this quote which states that, all readers are not leaders, but all leaders are readers. So most of the successful people out there are readers. So that's why you have to not just what and all to read or why to read. It's always important on how to read. So these people, whoever are very successful, if you can, if you read their biographies, you will see how they are reading, how they are getting involved. So that's why reading tricks and tips are important. And I have seen people saying that, okay, I do not have time, I don't get time. So I don't think it's the case. There are very busy people out there who still make time for reading. So it's about how you are choosing to spend your time. So you have to come up with some some way to make some time for reading throughout your day. So it's your choice. You have that option. You're just not making that. You're not making choice. You're specifically saying to yourself that, okay, I do not have time. But that's not the case. You're just choosing not to make time. Another trick is, surround yourself with people or with things that remind you of reading. So there is this book called Atomic Habits. In that there is this trick of stacking your habits. Say if you want to read prior to your sleep. So at that time, what will you do? Prior to your dinner itself, come to your bed, keep a book there. So you formulate those habits, and that's how you become a successful or consistent reader. So when I say surround yourself with things, so you can always follow Bookstagram, which reminds me, I'm on Instagram. Make sure to follow me on Instagram. There is a link in the description. Last but not the least trick is implement. Whatever you are reading, you have to implement it. You have to apply it. Then only you're going to see the benefits, and that will definitely encourage you to read more. If you're not able to get something in first read, reread. Read and read and reread. So that's like a mantra that you have to remember. You have to be consistent, you have to be disciplined. That's true. And also along with that, you have to read for entertainment, you have to read for happiness. And if you're just reading, then what's the point, right? If you do not have anything to implement, if you're not gaining, or if you're not able to absorb from it, if you're not able to derive values from it, if you're not able to derive benefits from it, then there is no point in reading. So make sure to implement whatever you have learned through your reading. So that's very important. There was a time in our history where women and certain kind of people or certain sort of people were not allowed to read, and people have put their lives at stake for to open this knowledge to the world. So basically, when you should have this so basically you owe it to them. It's an honor to their efforts when you're reading. So that sort of emotion should be behind your reading. So hope this video was helpful to you. Let me know how did you find it in comment section, and make sure to subscribe to my channel Shout Out to Books. Have a great day ahead.